Welcome. Come on in. I have a very special guest today. Rock with me, guys. As you guys know, I always let the guests pick the flow.
I see the crystal raindrops fall and the beauty of it all.
We may
When
have
the
some
sun comes shining through
but as of right now, it's just the two of us.
to make those rainbows in my
Coming in right now.
mind. When I
Hello, you guys. Well, welcome to Growing in Gentleness, a weekly conversation for the gentle and not so gentle parent or caregiver. I'm Elise, founder of Parenting for the Culture. And today, listen, I've had some special guests, but this by far exceeds them all. Today, I have my hubby, my husband, my boo thing, my baby daddy, my lover, home and friend. Kart Jones with us today. So this is his first official appearance. Hold on one second. K-Bug, we're gonna finish doing this, okay? Give us a minute and actually continue to rest your body, okay, until we get done, okay? And then it's gonna be time for the next thing, okay?
We'll come get you, okay?
What?
Okay, we'll come get you. All right.
You want to say hi? Just wave your hand. Say hi.
Just wave your hand.
Wave your hand. Say hi.
Hey.
And we're gonna come get you, okay? Don't forget, cause we got the next thing coming up. So go.
When do I get up?
When we come get you, it's gonna be like, I don't give you time because I don't want to be telling the story.
Second, okay? We'll come get you.
But rest your body because it's still time to rest your body, okay?
We got something special for you when you get up.
You already know what it is. Come on, guys, go rest your body, boo.
But mommy, I can if you set a timer.
We can set a timer. We're gonna set the time for 15 minutes.
On the phone though, but I can only hear. I can't hear it ring from in my room.
Yes, you will.
You'll hear it.
Make sure it's loud.
So we're gonna set it. Actually, we're gonna set it for 20 minutes. Then when that 20-minute timer is up, we'll be done, and it'll be time for you to get up, and then we go to where we said we're gonna go. All right.
And timer starts.
Better be now. Go. See you in 20 minutes. Real time.
Yep.
Real time. That girl said a timer. So the timer is set, and so I mean we have 20 minutes to get her done. Did y'all you say get her done?
Yeah.
Really? To get her done.
No, we didn't say it. I heard of it though.
Yeah, I was too cool to say
no,
get her
we
done.
Didn't say it.
Country. Get her done. And so we're gonna jump on in. So today, you guys, like I said, Kart is joining us. So first of all, we just celebrated what?
7 years.
Our 7th year anniversary. We just recently celebrated that. What was that? Sunday?
Yes.
Sunday. We got away for the weekend. And so, yes, here we are. I thought it'd be really cool to come on. Not just because we celebrated an anniversary, but because it's so interesting. You know, again, for those who have been joining, this live is around all things parents. Let me just first of all say too, I'm jumping back in here like I ain't been MIA for a few weeks. So let me just first say, hey, you guys, because it has been a while. We were talking recently about how summer has been summering. So I know for a few weeks we were hitting with some replays. Then we did just share some resources on, other interviews and things that had happened. So missed you guys. Good to be back. As I said, today we are going live. So happy Tuesday. And again, just glad to be back. It's been a busy summer.
Yeah, it's been.
It's been a busy summer. So I hope, I hope you all have been doing well and maybe even catching replays beyond what was shared. So here we are again. I said, okay, we're jumping on today to just kind of talk a little bit, because as we were just discussing, like when it comes to our 7th year anniversary, we do a lot of reflecting. I feel like often. period, but
Mhm.
especially around anniversary time. And we're just talking about like how we have evolved together, became parents together, and even how we both brought two different blueprints to parenting and how that is a reality for so many people, right? And so I just want to jump on again, very informal, just to one say what's up because again, there's a lot going on. But then two, just come on with Kart, just kind of talk about like what has that looked like for us when it comes to when I say blueprint, right? For anyone who has been listening for a while, you know, when we have talked about attachment and how we all have an attachment style, which is our blueprint for connection. And even, I mean, it's connected to attachment. We're not really talking about attachment today, though. Just in general, when it comes to parenting, we all have a blueprint, right? Certain expectations, certain beliefs, certain traditions, certain standards, certain just the whole nine. And how when you, it's great to have a blueprint, but when that blueprint clashes with somebody else's blueprint, now we have an issue, right? And so we just want to talk a little bit about our, I guess, our evolvement as parents.
It's not, I'm
Go
sorry. I'm
ahead.
sorry. It's not so much of an issue though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like
Mm.
uh,
How would
it's
you define it?
it's an opportunity for growth. You know.
Come on, come on, you're so intentional with your words.
Not for real. I mean, because it's two different blueprints, but it's like we both can realize some areas where growing up, like our parents and the people who brought us up, they did the best they could do. You know what I'm saying? With what they knew how to do,
Absolutely.
which is some things we might adopt, and some things we realize, hey, that might not work well for our family. So, yes, would it cause some friction, maybe? Yeah, but like I wouldn't say much conflict. I mean, because even when we talk about the blueprint, like it's not necessarily just a blueprint for our parenting styles. Like it's more so the blueprint for our home in general. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
You know,
But it took time to get there. And
yeah.
let's talk about that,
And we're
Luke.
still getting there.
Right. Still getting there.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that. I feel like obviously, right, I'm the one who's very vocal about parenting, right? You know, all in the internet streets, you know, talking about what I believe and what I try to practice. But I feel like people wonder, how does Kart feel about all of this? Or is Kart on board with this? Like, what are his thoughts? So if anybody is wondering, like, let's just talk about that. I'm hearing you too say it wasn't like necessarily an issue. Let's just talk about like your experience coming into parenting when it comes to what I openly talk about when it comes to gentle and conscious parenting.
Yeah, I mean, and let me clarify. Cause I did say no conflict. Uh, Not always conflict. I feel like now we get into a place where it is less conflicting than it was at one point. So yeah, that's so it don't always have to be conflict. And I feel like we've grown past some conflict. And do that mean that there will never be, you know what I'm saying, any more conflict? Nah, I mean, because I feel like uh, there's just some of the things that happen when we raising children and building a family in a home. You know what I'm saying? Like
Absolutely.
we got, like you said, 7 years, 7 years of being married, but what 5 years of being parents. You know what I'm saying? And when you think about 5 years of being parents, like one thing that I have learned and I have to come to the realization, like it might sound cliche in elementary, but like we never been parents before. You know what I'm saying? Like even when it come down to Caitlin, our daughter, Gracie, whatever, you know, like but even when it come down to her though, you know what I'm saying? Like it was a point where we've never been parents at all before. And then it turns into we've never parented a little girl. I mean, and that's significant for me, you know what I'm saying? Like
Why?
because I grew up in a house with all brothers, all nephews, and my mom. Like I don't have any sisters, I don't have any nieces up until I got married. You know what I'm saying? And my sister-in-laws. So even bringing a young lady or a female into the equation, like it was a whole curveball for me. You know, I never forget one time we were playing. I was playing with Kaylin, like throwing her on the bed or something, and think I'm pushing her a little bit too hard. And you're like, man, she's a girl, you can't do that. I'm like, oh, okay, it just kind of hit different. So just that dynamic alone, everything is like all of it is a learning curve. And then even when it came down for KJ, our son, you know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, now, yeah, we know what it's like to. I know what it's like to be around young men, but hey, we've never parented two children before, So it's a revolving door, and now like the ages that they're in now, like we never parented kids at their age, so like, and they continue to evolve and emotionally get into different places as they grow, So yeah, I feel like I just went down
No, no, that wasn't a rabbit hole. Okay. That was good. And what I heard in there, like, there is always room for growth.
For sure.
And also giving yourself grace to realize when you are experiencing a new anything, right?
Yeah.
So yes, no, I definitely agree. And even as you talk about giving ourselves the grace, I'm just wondering if there are any other parents or people who are married, significant others, or whatever, who have found any tension in your relationship due to conflict in parenting style. I feel like that's a thing, right? Especially as so many people begin to grow and learn more and explore more about gentle parenting or conscious parenting or all these different things, right? And the reality is, if someone is in a partnership, right, it takes two people to be on the same board, especially we're talking about in the same household. And so I just want us to talk a little bit about what the experience has been like for us. And I'll let you have the floor.
You said a lot. Say it again.
What has that been like, this experience of bringing two different blueprints together? Let's talk about, what was your blueprint? Let's talk about that first. Again, I feel like I'm out here in these streets about what mine was. What is your blueprint?
I was raised in a Christian home, Christian family. My father passed when I was a year old, when I was 1 year old. So I grew up without my biological father. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I guess we could dive a little deeper into it, all of it, as we go
on. Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you say your blueprint for parenting was?
My blueprint for parenting, like, we knew what right from wrong was. Like, we should know what, it's like, right from wrong. So you do what's right. And then if you don't do what's right, like, there was a consequence. And the consequence was, it wasn't all, a whooping was a consequence, but that wasn't always the consequence. Sometimes, man, we had punishments. I guess it was just kind of depending on the magnitude of what we did. You know what I'm saying? And if it was something that was new that we did, like something that we never done before, then it may be in a teaching moment. But if it was something that we felt like, oh, that you shouldn't have done this, then then the consequence was, maybe we got a whooping, you know what I'm saying? Or even after we got a whooping, like, hey, man, no, you ain't finna play that game no more this week, you know what I'm saying? Because you didn't do your work at school. So, no, you ain't finna be up for playing no game, So just different dynamics based off of the level of whatever we were doing as children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What would you say was the conflict in the blueprint you just named from my blueprint?
The conflict is, well, the conflict,
I would say we still got one. Let's talk about it in real time.
I mean, well, yeah, we talk about it in real time. I mean, but the thing is, like we said, like we originally said, like the correct word was, but the flip side is, we're constantly growing in this thing. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Right. So
what was the conflict?
Yeah, so the conflict was, you had a different perspective on on whoopings as a form of discipline, and I believe that came from you not getting whoopings, which
That was a
made you
part of it.
yeah, which made you explore more. So yeah, and I believe like that was the that was the repercussion that I knew of.
Mm.
So um so that's what I reverted back to. You know what I'm saying? If any time that there was a time to practice any type of discipline, hey, like I said, depending on the magnitude of what the issue was, like I felt like sometimes it could have been a thing.
So how did that feel when we first started having those conversations? I was like, I don't want to whoop our kids.
How did it feel? Hmm. I was like, oh boy.
What that mean?
Well, because like just being honest, like man, parenting styles is something that could literally have an effect on like families. You know what I'm saying? So
In
like
marriages and
yeah,
stuff,
in
yeah.
marriages for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like when you said that and like that was totally contrary to what I grew up around. It was like, oh man, what we walking into? Like we finna tread some waters that you know what I'm saying that I ain't never been in. So
Cause
yeah.
mind you, we were pregnant for our first anniversary, our 1 year anniversary.
Yes.
I was, I don't know, a few months, but yeah. So we jumped in parenting pretty pretty early in the game.
Yeah.
But I said your feeling. That wasn't a feeling. You said,
What?
oh boy.
Oh,
We do this all the time. So what were you feeling? What was the feeling?
I felt concerned.
Mm,
Yeah.
concerned that
Concerned that we was finna have conflict in our marriage and in our family uh, due to our different parenting styles and beliefs.
mm.
Yep.
And if you had to put that concern for the kids, did you had concern that our kids would be what?
Can I say what I want to say on here?
Yes, what
For
you
real? I
mean?
mean, like,
Really? You
I
gotta
mean,
ask that.
I, well, our kids gonna be bad as hell.
And that's like a common thought or concern, right?
It's like man, our kids gonna be all over the place, man. They ain't gonna listen to nobody. They ain't gonna know how to do that. I mean, yeah, that was my thought.
Yeah.
They gonna get to school. They gonna be trouble kids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know because they'll know because they have not felt like real discipline to know how to act in public. Yeah.
So look now. So when it comes to that concern of kids being, I don't even like calling kids bad. Like that can't even roll off my tongue naturally. But when it comes to that concern, like what has shifted in your blueprint? Like what have you realized or discovered or observed or learned along your own journey that has made shifts in that belief or those beliefs in particular?
Um. Well, first of all, I would say whooping or spanking,
I
for the
would say
lack of a better
spank, but
word.
people,
Yeah.
some people don't.
Yeah.
People like whooping,
Yeah.
but I feel like everybody don't.
Yeah.
Whooping though, that yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
spankings, for lack of a better word. Man, they don't necessarily make a child spanking or not spanking a child don't necessarily make a child act a certain way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because I grew up around a lot of kids. They got just as many, or if not, is more spankings than I have, and they still, you know what I'm saying, like went deviated from what we felt like, or from what the parent felt like the child should have done. You know what I'm saying? And we had some. I know a lot of them, and they did real well. You know, and then I still know some uh, children who didn't get spanking, and like they were problem children to say the least. And we do know some that did not get spanking that
What
still
about
came
for
out
you
really
though?
well.
How do you feel like they impacted you?
Um, I well, I will say the way it impacted me, my brother above me. I hope he see this, and he will attest to this. He know I'm telling the truth. I think he probably got more spankings than anybody. Um, and but he got into a whole lot more than anybody else did. Um, but I feel like the way that impacted me, I didn't get as many spankings.
Why are you saying spankings?
You said don't say
I
whoopings.
didn't say don't say
Oh
it.
well, I
I
ain't
just said
get.
some people you have to just make sure everybody understands that whoopings are spankings because everybody don't say whoopings.
Oh,
But I
okay.
wasn't saying like the first I was saying
Oh
really odd that you saying spankings.
yeah. Okay. Thank you. Because I felt odd saying spanking. All right, but cool. But I didn't get as many whoopings, and the reason being because like I'm like, man, this brother here, like after I saw what he did and the reactions from the repercussions from his actions, like it kept me from doing a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Um, so I guess it was a little bit of a fear there based off of what I saw
Mm.
happening to him.
Did that fear stop you from doing stuff you weren't supposed to do, or did that fear make you more sneaky?
Nah, I don't think it made me more sneaky, but I don't think it stopped me from doing nothing I ain't supposed to do either. I think some stuff I just didn't get caught.
Probably because you were sneaky.
I don't think I was to the fact that I was trying to be sneaky. I just didn't get caught doing
Like
nothing.
I did. But it didn't. But the fear didn't stop you from the behaviors. It just supported you in not getting caught,
Yeah.
aka becoming more sneaky. But I digress. So, but that makes sense though. That makes sense. Not for real. Thank you for sharing it. That make a whole lot of sense. And in that, I'm just wondering because our 20 minutes are almost up. Yeah, I know we set that timer because how much time? Oh Lord, she better come in here. Really quick though, what other did you stop it? Don't do that. That's not honest. That's not honest.
All right, I put it back at 22 seconds now.
Don't do it like that.
All right. All right.
Okay, so what was I saying? Oh, so when it comes to your blueprint in general, right? Outside of that, we really didn't get out here to talk. I mean, I know I mean it's a hot topic, but outside of whoopings, like what from your blueprint have you intentionally decided not to repeat?
Um, all right. What I've decided not to repeat.
Hold on, 'cause I'm about to yell. Hold on. Gracie, your timer up. Got not muted.
No, you yelled and then muted afterwards. um,
Oh, that's funny. I'll try not to yell
um,
in your face, but go ahead. Particular things from your blueprint that you have decided not to. Let me say this, right? When it comes to while you're thinking about it, when it comes to parenting in general, one thing that I would say that we both have learned is that it's okay to question tradition, right?
mhm.
Traditions have their place. Traditions can be great. Traditions can be beautiful, but that don't mean we cannot question. That don't mean we're questioning the people, right? Who showed us or passed the tradition on to us, but traditions can be questioned because the reality is, as parents, we have a direct assignment and responsibility to steward our children.
Mhm.
And our children are not mini us, right? They're not mini me's. They're not, like they are their own unique being that came with their own unique, personality, temperament, etc. And so as parents, we have a responsibility, right, to hear from God and get direction on how we steward them. And so that's why, and that's what I love about us, that we are not afraid to question tradition.
Yeah.
And so what traditions or whatever have you grown to question and maybe even reject?
Um, allowing the children to have a little more voice.
Mm.
Allow them to have just a little more voice.
You
Like,
might say just a little more.
yeah, yeah.
Just
I
a little
mean,
more,
well,
not too
nah.
much.
And I'm saying that because, like, we were able to talk. You know what I'm
Uh,
saying? Like, it ain't like we weren't able to talk. It was just certain things we could talk about.
mm.
You know what I'm saying? So we could have conversations. It was just certain things that uh wasn't children's conversations. And even if they were children conversations, it's like, hey man, like we had to wait to a certain age to have certain conversations. You know what I'm saying? Like it was and I still
Which
agree
is
with that.
still, yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
I
which is
still
still
agree with
true.
that. But I feel like now that the age barrier have lowered because there's so much more that we were learning about at an older age that kids learn about it younger now. So yeah, to even give them a voice and in my and I don't think this consciously happened, but for me, my main thing was to value the child's opinion.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Uh, and I'm not gonna say I'm saying that it didn't consciously happen, and I'm not gonna say that didn't happen at all when we were younger, but I felt, you know what I'm saying, like the opinion wasn't valued, and I think I learned it a little bit more from the line of work I've been in. You know what I'm saying, and even the what I've learned about how to communicate with kids that's surrounding our children age bracket. You know what I'm saying? So just how to communicate with kids more is something that that's a tradition. That's a barrier that is that how did you say it?
So let me make sure I'm hearing you right. Are you saying allowing kids to have a voice and have an opinion is not something you always felt person? Not saying it was non-existent, but it's not something you felt consistently, which is something you see a desire to have for your kids.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's interesting because usually people who grow up in households where they feel like didn't have like, a full voice. Sometimes those same people find themselves growing up and not being as vocal when it comes to their needs or setting boundaries or saying no. Do you feel like that was ever true for you?
Yes. Yes, it was true. And even while you were talking, I was thinking like, even when you say like to have a voice, and this was my thought process as you was talking, like it's still a fine line. You know what I'm saying? Like some things you should have a voice about that as children they should have a voice about. But even because we're still training and raising little people, you know what I'm saying? Like there are some things that are not up for discussion.
Like what?
If I tell you go to bed and you say you don't want to go to sleep, I didn't ask you if you want to go to sleep. And I'm saying that because like word choice is a big thing. I had a conversation with somebody not long ago, or somebody they disagree with me. You know what I'm saying, and they had their right, because my thing was if I ask my son and I say, KJ, can you go get me a glass of water? And he say no, I have to respect his answer. Reason being, because I asked him a question. Now, if I say, KJ, go get me some water, and he say no, that was not a question. So, like that's why I say word choice, because if I ask you to do something and you say no, that's not disrespectful.
Just answer your question.
Just answer my question.
That's been a shift for you though. You haven't always felt that way.
No, I have always felt that way.
Really? You think so?
Yes.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that wasn't always the case.
Well, and the reason because there was, yeah, It's always been this case.
I was like, maybe I'm retracting what I just said because I remember when my niece used to live with me while we were dating, and he brought it to my attention how much I asked her to do things with the expectation for her to do them. Well, that was bringing me, something or doing this. And he was like, he's like, some of this stuff you can do for yourselves. I'll take that back. Maybe y'all think that was you. Oh, that's cute, boo. That's cute. But I see what you're saying. I agree. I know we've had this conversation before, like when it comes to when we ask our kids a question, if we're going to ask them a question, respect their response, right? Because otherwise, now you're getting in trouble for being honest.
Mm-hmm.
And what is that teaching you, right? To not be honest. And then, but taking it a step further, like I said, what you kind of taught me with my niece is that also remembering, and this again goes into gentle and conscious parenting, our kids are not here to be our mini servants, right? And so even when it comes, I know you're just giving an example, and you don't do this at all either when it comes to like, give me a glass. Like we don't, if it's something I can do for myself, like I need to do it for myself. I can ask them if they want to do it, right? They would want to help me out in that moment. But if they're busy and preoccupied and, doing something else, I need to respect them because I respect them as a person. And so that may be, unpopular. Hopefully not.
I mean, because the flip side about it, if I ask him to give me a glass of water and he say no, and I get upset, why am I really upset? Because he didn't give me a glass of water, or because I'm lazy and don't feel like getting up?
The latter.
Right.
And I don't feel like not stopping what I'm doing, and they don't feel like, stopping what they doing at that moment. Yeah.
I mean, and they shouldn't be, and children shouldn't be held accountable for our laziness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, like even something as little as that. I mean, if I'm sitting in one side of if I'm 6 steps away from the refrigerator to give me water, and he is too, but I'm the one that need the water. But even with that, like if I ask him, and we talking about water, if I ask him to give me some water, and he say yes, I feel honored. I feel honored that my child in that moment wanted to serve me.
Listen, and that's a real paradigm shift, especially when we talk about like our culture, right? Mm-hmm. It's this idea or this unconscious, to be honest, this unconscious adultism belief that again our kids are here to serve us.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case. And so you said, something as simple as getting water, but that's really not simple. That's a real life example that happens often where we as the adult feel like our child should do it because we don't feel like it, because we told them to. And it's like, but here's the thing. So we saying it's a small example, but it's really not small. And it really is that deep. Because then what happens when they grow up is, so if they never have the opportunity to practice saying no in the home they grow up with around safe people, if they never have the opportunity to practice saying no, then what happens? What happens?
Man.
Yeah, tell us. Feel free to type it in the comments. But what happened?
Yeah, you work with them. You work with them. The person who doing stuff for everybody,
man,
overworking themselves because and not even getting their own work done because they don't have the power to know how to say no.
Don't know how to say no. And so it really is that deep, right? And so that's why I'm just so grateful. I know, again, I know I'm the one. Go ahead.
I said you work with them. You might be one of them.
Lord have mercy. But I know that's so good and so real. I'm just so grateful. Like I said, it hasn't always been a smooth process for us. I feel like parenting we don't really argue. We have healthy. We say we argue. I feel like we have healthy dialogue.
Yeah, we have heated discussion. I'm just saying.
I feel like we don't.
No, we have before, but I mean, I feel like we've grown past that. So, yeah.
Like we can disagree. It can be a conflict, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then we have healthy dialogue to talk about it. But I feel like early on this conversation around parenting, and
when we say argue, you mean you yelling at each other. I mean, we don't yell at each other.
I mean,
I don't feel like we yell at each other.
Oh no, we don't. I'm like, maybe we had this conversation with the Griffins. What's up, Griffins? If y'all watch this, I'm lying with you, George. Like, we too grown. We too grown to be. Ain't nobody yelling at each. I mean, I'm sorry. Obviously, somebody is. But that is not our form of communication. We try to be healthy, even in the face of conflict. But I say all that to say this: I'm grateful for the growth. It definitely took time to get here to even, and to be honest, like he already said, we're still figuring some things out because it's not a situation where like, oh, at least your blueprint is the one to go. Yep, let's do. Like, no, like we are literally deciding what pieces we want to take for each one, what parts we want to reject from each one, as we literally create our own blueprint as a family. And so it has been a journey. I'm just curious to know any parents who are listening, like what has been potential sore spots with you and your partner or your spouse around parenting, even if it's co-parenting in two different households. Obviously we don't have experience with co-parenting, but the beautiful thing is that it all starts with communication. It all starts with respect, right? And not only that, like, oh my God, not only is that for the kids to figure out how you want to parent, but that is modeling for them what communication and respect looks like. We have to remember everything we do, we literally are modeling for our kids. Yep. Everything. I mean, again, another example may seem small, but even with that timer situation that happened here, we told that baby, how long? 20 minutes. We can't sit up here and then edit the time and act like that's okay, because if the shoe was on the other foot, you see what I'm saying? So again, being a model, reminding ourselves that the things we do and say matter, because they are literally learning how to trust us. Mm-hmm. They're learning how to trust us.
I almost edited though, y'all. I almost did.
You almost what?
Edited it.
Out all the time, yeah.
But I guess if I could just be real, since we talking about the gentle parenting deal, I mean, so just honestly though, like, I mean, I guess you asked how did I feel about it. Mm-hmm. I think it's something that I'm constantly growing in. Like, because even now, like one of my main concerns to this day,
like today, like
today, man, like y'all finna get the real. One of my main concerns is, let's say that our children 10 years from now, with both of our kids, we find out that this didn't work. Then what do we do?
What do you mean by didn't work though? Like, what does didn't work look like?
We didn't get the results that we felt like we should have gotten.
What are the results you're expecting exactly?
I don't know.
Back to the drawing board.
Back to the drawing board.
What are you expecting? I can say what I'm expecting.
Please do tell.
That's interesting. This hasn't been a conversation. This is good. Thanks, y'all. Yep. I don't know what this is doing for y'all. Well, this is good because that's the conversation. But I want you, if you have something you want to share.
I haven't mentioned it before though, right?
Right. But when it comes like to be able to like, for that to be a concern that it doesn't work, like what doesn't work look like for you? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are the end results?
Well, and I wouldn't say, did I say a concern? Mm-hmm. Okay, I would say a thought.
To this day.
To this day. It's a thought to this day. Yeah, it's a thought to this day. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a concern because, like I said earlier, like man, we're doing the best we can with what we got. You know what I'm saying? So
that's yeah,
we're doing the best we can with what we got. So like, we are parenting our children to the best of our ability. We're doing the best we can, and we steward our children the best way we know how. And then, man, we lead the Holy Spirit to lead us on how to do the rest, and we lean on the Holy Spirit for the protection and the ultimate discipline for our kids. So, yeah.
And I will say this too. In there, when you said like that's been a thought, you said not a concern, a thought.
Yeah, I mean, when you say concern, it's like, man, nah, like.
So there's been a thought when it comes to like you said, what if this doesn't work? I will say this, something I had to be intentional about freeing myself from is like the end result of where our kids be. And I say that because I remember one time I was doing a workshop, in Missouri, and one of the participants came up to me afterward. She was saying everything she took from it and how she was so blessed, and she was even saying she was gonna call her child, her daughter, it's an adult daughter, to apologize. She was like, because my daughter, she said she thinks a lot like you do. She said, and I have been like not supportive of this, saying like what's gonna happen to the kids, this. She said, but after today, it makes so much more sense. She says, I want to call my daughter and apologize and say I'm on board too for how you're raising my grandchildren. But then she said, oh my God, your children are gonna turn out so amazing. I don't know if it was on my, I don't think I told you this. Okay. I don't know if it was on my face and when she said that, but I know what my thought was. And it's almost like she read my thought, because my thought at that moment was like, ma'am, that ain't got nothing to do with me. How my kids turn out per se, that is ultimately between them and the Lord. Because what we don't want to do, we begin to wrap our identity in how our kids, you know what I'm saying? Like who they, now don't get me wrong, we play a part in that. And that's what I was thinking in the moment. I said, I don't know if it was on my face, because her response was, well, if they choose to. And I said, exactly. If they choose. My goal, right, as a intentional, conscious, gentle parent, my goal is to do as much as it depends on me as the steward, is to provide them with the tools for healthy development.
Yeah.
That's it. That is it. Provide them with safety, provide them again with all the tools to develop, not just physically, but emotionally, right? Spiritually, socially, provide them with the tools. But here's the thing, that's beautiful, baby. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. You did it like yours. I love that. I love that. To provide them with the tools. But here's the thing about tools. I can give you a whole toolbox, right? I can give you a whole tool shed to build a house. But is it going to work just because the tool shed is there?
No.
Like you have to be intentional about going and grabbing what you need, right? And so I have freed myself from that way.
You got to use the right tools too, Doc.
You got to use the right tools. You got to use the right tools. And the reality is our kids will grow up and make mistakes. Our kids will grow up. And like our job is not to protect them. No. Our job is not to protect them or guard them from those mistakes either. It's again to prepare them and equip them so they have access to the tools they need. So I have taken that pressure off of myself. This pressure that, because I'm out here doing all this good talk about parenting, because I'm practicing this, because we live in this, that this means my kids, like, no, I've taken that's on God. That's on them and the Lord. But I want to make sure that we can say, right, that we have provided the tools, we have provided the security for whatever is needed for their journey. But as far as the journey that is taken, only they can decide that. They decide that. So I've released myself from that expectation, that weight. It's also kind of like the embarrassment I used to feel like if they act a certain way. It's like, girl, first of all, that's revealing pride in your heart, because you know what I'm saying? That's what embarrassment does. It shows a level of pride. So we're not exempt. We're not exempt from, normal toddler behavior. We are not exempt. Our kids throw temper tantrums. They have off days. We're not exempt from that, and that's okay. But again, our job as the stewards is to provide the tools that they can have access to when they need them. So that's my take. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Yeah, it makes sense. So with that being said, people, just lead your children well.
Lead them well.
Just lead your children well.
Let's close there. What advice would you give to leading your children well? I know we kind of started this off as a married couple, but it's all connected. It's all connected. We're just talking. Y'all just eavesdropping on this conversation. But what advice would you give those who are listening when it comes to leading well?
Leading is so the word in itself does what it does. Like leadership, not management, not supervision. Now, supervision and management, like those are some of the things that leaders do. But leadership is, man, you model. You be a model, and you walk alongside. So my main goal is to come alongside my children, model the things that I feel like is important, and the things that are
Mhm.
core values in our family, to model those, and as our motto, teach, train up, so they carry on those same values,
Mm.
and be the best that I can be.
I love that.
Yeah.
Even made me think about when you said leaders, like leaders may manage, but
Mm-hmm.
not all managers are leaders.
Yeah.
And even though we're called to manage our kids here on earth, we're called to lead them. I love that, like how you broke that up, because the reality is management just makes sure things are kept afloat.
Mm-hmm.
But leadership takes it to another level, right? And as parents, our job is to help our kids discover the things inside of them so they can continue to grow and go to another level. So yes, I love that. I love that. And when it comes to parents who may not be on the same page, but wanting to, I mean, the reality is they both have the same goal, right?
Oh,
To love their kids well,
right.
and to raise their children well. What advice would you give them if they're not on the same page currently?
Just continue to speak, continue to talk. Don't get quiet. Never get quiet. When you close your mouth, people don't understand what you're thinking. And when you're thinking, we're not made to do this alone. You know what I'm saying? We're not made to do life. We're not made to be on this world alone. So, yeah, keep talking. Please keep talking, even when it's hard. So, when you open your mouth, you break the barriers that people feel like silence can, you know what I'm saying, can break. Silence just shut things down for a moment until it decides to explode. So please keep talking. That's something that I learned. Keep talking, uh, and don't even stay inside your circle. Lean outside your bubble. Find a community of people who trying to do the same things that you're trying to do, and not even the ones who trying to do the same thing you're trying to do. Some that may disagree with you. You know what I'm saying? Explore options, because we don't always get it all right. You know what I'm saying? So maybe the ones who could go against the grain, they could help us as well. So yeah.
That's good. And I think my advice would be stay open to learn, right? The reality is both people have so much to contribute. Again, I know that I'm the one mostly, out in the open talking about parenting. But when I tell y'all, this man has taught me so much, it has brought so much balance, right? And it doesn't matter how many years of study, and it doesn't matter. Like, he has brought so much balance to this. It's funny, but it's a good example. I know I made a post some time ago about the kids were going back and forth, and I don't know who it was. I'm gonna say the oldest was like, "If you hit me one more time, I'm gonna hit you back." And I was like, "Man, these kids getting the best of gentle parenting and South Memphis." but it's like for real, like a balance. Because I'm gonna say it this way, and this is what I have learned. I'm continuing to learn, is that it's okay to be stubborn about our goals, but we can be flexible about how we get there. And I think that is parenting. Oh, I love that. That's pretty, girl. I love that. And I think that is parenting to a T. We can be stubborn about raising healthy, secure children, right? Who have those physical, emotional, spiritual, social needs met, but we can be flexible about how we get there. And usually when we lean on our partner and their own experiences as well, we can continue to grow and learn so much. So that'll be my piece of advice. Never stop learning, never stop being open, and lean into the flexibility and the balance. So thank you for that, Doc.
Oh, man. Pleasure's all mine. No, it's yours, but I'll take it though.
Ooh, we got a little what's our girl from
cover up.
No. He said cover up the dog. What's old girl from Rugrats?
I don't know about the girl from Rugrats, but it's like the dude I meant to society. Don't be a menace. Right.
It was so funny. I can see that too. But the dial, it was a dialogue. Okay, don't worry about it. I can see what you said. Anywho, beautiful. Let me see what other style you can do. Okay. So anywho, we're about to get on about our day. Thank you guys for joining us. If you grabbed a nugget, feel free to drop it in the chat and let us know what it was. But that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. It was fun.
It's still our anniversary, not really, but
Nah,
it feels
is.
like
Nah, it is.
celebrating all year,
Man.
all year into the next one.
Well,
Okay.
yeah. All right. Now we still in honeymoon phase. Like,
Come
yeah.
on, say it again.
This is our honeymoon week after the. So we on our honeymoon anniversary now. So hey, we in this thing, y'all.
Aw, I love you.
Love you too.
All right, you guys. Thanks for joining. And until next time, keep growing in gentleness.
All right, y'all.